just look at the symbolism.
That's right.
We were talking earlier, didn't you say that one of them, because I actually believe a lot of this genetic stuff is under the jurisdiction of the Knights Templar.
Yeah.
As this is provable, that the first genetic experiments and cloning experiments were done on Templar land, Sinclair land up at Rosslyn, etc., etc. And didn't you show me one time that there was one of these this is scientific, top-level, highbrow genetics company, their symbol was the chalice of the Grail?
That's right. That's a Methuselah Foundation, and a guy called Dr. Aubrey de Grey, interesting name there, of course, but is behind this Methuselah Foundation. And, of course, Methuselah goes back to the Bible again, a character, patriarch in there who actually lived to be like 969 years or something like that. And what Aubrey de Grey is looking at is to what he calls curing the disease of aging, to look into all of this to actually stop that. And interestingly enough, they're working together with another firm to develop AI. This is a long process in a way because they're going to develop AI. Then the AI is going to develop, a potential then a cure for the going into our cells, into the biology of humans, and in order so we can change and so forth. But they work together with a company called the Sinclair Limited, I think.
Unbelievable.
So this actually does tie back to the fact that this is about, in a way, the Holy Grail. Even actually, if you look at the Methuselah Foundation icon that they have on their website, it is a Holy Grail that they have there.
It doesn't surprise me in the least because I'm thoroughly convinced that Crick and Watson and all of this stuff, it was under the jurisdiction of the Knights Templar. These discoveries were even done in buildings that were on Templar land. Knights St. John Hospitallers.
You'll
notice that these guys ran the hospitals. It's a long show to get into that, but we can put up links, I guess, on this interview's website.
Definitely.
For people who are interested in this idea, because even the positioning of some of these buildings in which these researches were done, these characters like de Grey, find out who the de Grey family are. In fact, let's even look into the word grey itself and how many permutations there is with this word.
Definitely.
It turns up in so many contexts, specifically within this. And again, what we're talking about here is symbolic literacy, in which you've got to follow the trail through this means of looking at the names that these people use. A lot of these names are titles. And a lot of them are subliminal keys that if you follow, like the word grey is monumentally interesting.
It is, definitely. There's so much there, and then we can even tie in, I guess, the guy who was behind developing the Human Genome Project, Craig Venter, aka Darth Venter, who kind of hijacked the Human Genome Project when that was privatized after this was overseen by Department of Energy, oversaw this project. So this was sold out, privatized, and then of course Craig Venter goes in there and leading a lot of this development now on the genomics and human DNA parts of the scientific work. But there's an interesting image even of him standing, like a photo shoot, standing with the white doctor outfit on the half of his body, and then he has the black business suit on the other half of his body, basically making him a man of black and white, or the man who moves between the black and white, the gray man, basically.
Isn't that interesting? And the black and white, you see, for people who don't know, is a very powerful Masonic symbol. They have the black and white checkerboard, and it's also the original symbol of the Knights Templar. Their flag or insignia was simply black and white. And you'll see this in the Prisoner series of Patrick McGowan, how they make a lot of use of this black and the white. And of course, this character in his ad copy is literally standing there, and I believe he had his arms crossed or something, wasn't it?
That's right.
Like
I think that's right. Yeah.
Take on, again, that has a lot of different permutations. But just the fact that the man is shown in black and white is literally saying, here's who I work for. So if you have half a symbolic literacy, you can check out the whole thing, from that point of view. And I guess people need to follow that through.
And let's not forget, because again I mentioned Methuselah, again going back to Old Testament stuff. This is something that goes back all the time. If you research this, we talked about the words and all this. Craig Venter is actually behind also a contest. The X Prize Foundation is offering 10 million to the first team that can sequence the DNA of 100 people within 10 days. And what is so interesting here is that the contest actually is called the Archon Genomics X Prize.
The Archon.
Archon.
Well, Archon is a Latin word that it refers to fallen angels.
How about that?
Yeah, not in its literal. It is used by the Gnostics. A fallen angel or a higher spirit is called an archon. So why are these guys who are meant to be the top scientists working in these very technical fields, why do they keep dipping into Bible, Old Testament? We look at the symbolism, and this is what we're really being told. I hope people really get this, because there's a reason why they keep dipping into Gnosticism for their terminologies and their words. You know, the word of the thousands of words that you could use, you just happen to be called Illumina. Of the thousands of words that you could use for your company, you just happen to be called Archon. But the average punter doesn't know where these terms come from.
That's right.
Or they're going to just look up in an ordinary dictionary where they come from. But you need to do the research and find out. We have got some pretty sinister characters here who are very, skilled and highly financed to be able to dupe you, again, selling you a first-class ticket to the utopian, the dystopia that they want you to go to. And again, they may sell you the first-class ticket saying, this is all for your own good. We'll take away your pain. So one of the things that the world is designed to do, you see, is to throw at you a lot of things that cause you pain. The stress of work, you see, the corporatization. They know that all this TV violence, the news, we've said this many times before, is part of this culture to create disassociation within you.
Exactly.
So that you end up feeling, very alienated and stressed.
And you're going to end up demanding that something is going to be done about this.
And they have it ready and waiting. They've got their scientists. These things are highly funded. We have to realize that IBM, Microsoft, MIT, CIT, the SRI, the group called Neotech, Frank R. Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
We've got DuPont, we've got the World Health Organization breaking their backs over this stuff. In America, I was studying the VA hospitals there and the Chicago, Institute and the University of Chicago. But Glaxo, Wellcome. We've got corporations here, billion-dollar corporations who are heavily working towards this. We have people like Dr. Jose Delgado. That people need to study, who absolutely demonic. I've got a quote from him here, actually, which is incredible. Delgado says, "This new knowledge is so important that I think it should radically change the philosophy of our education system, which believes in the sanctity of individuals." So he's saying, to hell with it. Remember saying? To hell with the sanctity of individuals. That's all for the plebs. That's all for the, the kindergarten level.
Yeah.
He says, thinking that an individual exists at birth. This is not true, he says. And this science is going to prove the fallacy of democracy in the sense that we talk about the rights of the individual. This democratic belief is not true. Because we are forming this individual, so he says we are forming this individual. I'd like to know who the we he's talking about is. They often use this term we. Because we are forming this individual, because we are constructing his brain. Right? There's the brain. You see, your brain is a mechanical. Even I've said it in my work that the mind is programmed by collective centuries of programming, but the brain is programmed in your personal life by this world. These people believe that your brain is absolutely a machine. So I don't care if they fill the world with machines, they're already making you into a machine. Because we are constructing his brain, we are willy-nilly making the differences we either like or dislike. This is what he's saying. Then we have another creature from a guy called Curtis Schaefer. He's an engineer for Norton Kite Corporation. He says the ultimate achievement of biocontrol may be the control of man himself. The controlled subject would never be permitted to think as individuals. A few months after, a surgeon would equip each child with a socket mounted under the scalp and electrodes reaching selected areas of brain tissue. The child's sensory perceptions and muscular activity would be modified or completely controlled by bioelectric signals radiating from state-controlled transmitters. Now, this is this Frankensteinian Orwellian maniac who's itching for the day when we're lining up saying, please do it to me. They're not going to come to your house and force you. They're waiting till you line up.
That's right.
What would happen, for instance, instead of sending kids to school, because as you know, teachers have no power really to discipline kids anymore. They're utterly, in fact, the teachers are at the mercy of the kids. Well, all we got to have is one of these creatures from one of these corporations come along and go, look, when a child is born, we, put inside their brain tiny little, microchips or whatever that are put in the limbic area or whatever, so that whenever even a antisocial thought arises, or even when the pain or stress levels arise in a person, there's a minute electric shock It's not felt consciously, but it's felt. It's a very, very minute shock in the brain, so that every time a countercultural thought is created, you see, or a problem, or any kind of violence or rage or anger or true emotion gets erased, the brain from childhood, from birth, is receiving a minute electric shock.
Okay.
Right? We're coming to the age in which this can actually be manifested right now. So that the baby grows up to be completely non-violent, utterly passive, utterly docile. Because it's receiving, again, below the threshold of consciousness, but, enough to realize that never have those thoughts, never have those thoughts. So we're going to be in a they-live situation in which you're walking around and it's, control, obey, marry and procreate.
But everything's going to be so wonderful.
And everything's wonderful, yeah. And we are living in a world now in which you can't even walk in the supermarket, or you can't even go to the airport without 1,001 rules being thrown at you in this wonderfully soft, voice telling you to, walk on the handrails, don't think, don't smoke, watch your luggage, and we're getting used to it.
That's right, being told from everywhere, exactly. And I just want to read another thing here that relates to the Stanford Research Institute again here. This was actually from a report called A Computer-Based Exploration of Alternative Futures for Mankind, 2000. And this quote here is incredible. In the organization of a civilization of the future, we anticipate that the individualistically oriented man will become an anachronism. Indeed, he will be viewed as a threat to the group organization as well as to his fellow man. Hence, as stated, he in all likelihood will have few individual expectations. While such a picture may not be pleasant to contemplate, when viewed with our present orientation and value judgment, we would be amiss to deal with unrealistic imageries that would blind us to future reality. That's incredible.
And from that, you can decode that, and you can see that the subtext is there, that it's a war against consciousness.
Yeah.
See, they already own you in every other way. The only last thing that's free about a human being that makes him really unique is his consciousness. And that's what they want to now crush completely. The war on consciousness is a very serious thing. It's to be taken absolutely seriously. They own you in every other way. They make your cars, they make your toothbrushes, they make the airplanes you fly in, etc., etc., etc. So basically they have, human race chained in every other sense. But they know that the human being is free in his mind. And what we're seeing now is the colonization, the conquest of the mind. This is what is dangerous.
The new battlefield, as it were.
That's right. And ultimately it may mean that they're doing it out of a form of benevolence. Sick benevolence, of course, but of course fatherly benevolence. If they're making us in their image, if they've already considered us to be born in their image, but it takes time, evolution, in order to get rid of a lot of these problematic human traits, well, then just give it a few centuries, let's see how things go, We'll have a renaissance and an industrial age and an agricultural age, and we'll move them forward to the silicon age, and then it'll be this age, and now we're in, here we are.
Racing
the age of amnesia.
On the highway also is going faster and faster all the time, quicker and quicker. Yeah.
Why not? Because we're being pushed. Things go faster when there's an artificial hand pushing you, but from behind that you don't see. Of course things are going fast because they can't wait. And I believe that this can co-op. You can start believing the advertising. They can throw it at you so many times throughout your life that in the end you can end up buying right into it. If life becomes so painful emotionally that you live in a shrink-wrapped world where you have literally cut off your own sense, your truth. I'm not talking about some stupid sensationalism. Sensation and emotion is two totally different things. But they can look so similar that you can think that one is the other. But if you've really cut off genuine emotions because you don't want to feel pain, you've also cut off your legitimate feeling centers. And this is what is happening all across the world right now.
Yeah, so again, the question here then is maybe not or the point rather than the question that this might not be, in that sense to sit here and fear the machine, as it were, because we're already it basically, or we're approaching that level, I should say, and a lot of people are. And what you have to bear in mind is that this is a choice basically that we have. This is something we have to deal with. Otherwise, we could end up in this situation where we're becoming a part of the of the beehive of the new cyborg man machine type society. Basically.
Oh yeah, if this is what people